Assalamu alaikum to all my Muslim siblings who were so incredibly kind in the comment section of the last video. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for reassuring me that I am not scary looking. I do appreciate that. I don't think their comment I did not take it at least as like a comment on my looks. So thank you all for stroking my ego. I will try not to let it get to my head. However, I just do want to address for the Muslims on multiple different platforms where I reposted the same video saying, not to respond to these kinds of comments. Just generally like a little look behind the curtain of kind of my strategy in the work that I do. Generally, I advocate for Muslim inclusion and equitable treatment, but I am more and more dealing with Islamophobia and pushing back against people who have these kinds of really Islamophobic and bigoted things to say about Muslims. Is that, yes, I do generally, like when I see these kinds of comments, I know that I'm not ever going to persuade these kinds of people. There's nothing I can say other than just waste my time, especially during Ramadan, with people going back and forth in the comments. They're just going to say something hateful, and I don't want to be dragged down and be that way in response with them. So I do hear you, and I appreciate, your advice and your counsel. Most of these people I just immediately block and move on with my day. However, I do save a couple of these comments, which you see me now like doing a series of responding to these comments with videos, because I want, one, non-Muslims who don't hate Muslims and aren't Islamophobic to actually see with their own eyes, to witness what is it that some Muslims have to deal with in predominantly non-Muslim environments. In this case, I'm in the United States. I'm born and raised, by the way, I'm American. In the United States, that is my context. So non-Muslims who are inclined to be allies to Muslims, who are not Islamophobic, who don't inherently hate all of Islam and all Muslims around the world, which is bizarre. There's like an estimated 1.8 billion Muslims around the world. You're going to hate literally all of those people. That's a quarter of the world's population that you're hating. And honestly, I'm sure if you hate Muslims, you probably hate other people too. But all of that is to say is that I want those non-Muslims to actually see those kinds of comments. If I just delete all of them, if I just block all these people and they're buried in comment sections, then none of these non-Muslims are going to actually be able to see what is it that we have to face. And it is very powerful for them to see how we are treated in this bigoted fashion, so that they hopefully, and if you are a non-Muslim watching this, I want you to feel compelled to stand in defense of Muslims. Please. We need your allyship. We are so outnumbered here, at least in the United States. We need people who don't believe us to inherently be evil, as bizarre as it is to say that. We need all of us to stand at each other's back and defend each other, and Muslims as well, very much so, to stand in defense of other people when it is our turn, when we are not being oppressed or we are not being marginalized in a specific context. It is our turn then to stand in defense of the people who they are the ones being marginalized in that instance. So it goes both ways, for sure. I also do these responses because I know how powerful it is. I get comments in the comment sections. I get direct messages. I have conversations with my DEI colleagues. I know from all of this feedback how powerful it is for Muslims who are not inclined towards making videos or putting out content publicly and subjecting themselves to these kinds of Islamophobic comments, which I totally understand. It absolutely is not for everyone. For Muslims who are not inclined towards putting themselves out there in the world via social media, it is very powerful to see someone like them being outspoken in defense of their own people, in defense of literally just the right to exist with dignity and respect. Muslims are imperfect people. There are good people, there are bad people. There are many of us, most human beings around the world, Muslim or not, are incredibly flawed. Sometimes we do good things, sometimes we cause harm, sometimes we do bad things. We need to be held accountable. All of this is messy. Muslims are just like that, and it shouldn't be that Muslims need to be absolutely perfect in the eyes of the person judging us, which again, everyone also has different judgments on what makes people good and bad. So it's just a no-win situation, honestly. it's very powerful to have Muslims who are not inclined towards putting themselves out there on social media to see that there are Muslims, people, especially Muslims who are wearing hijab, because of the stereotype that Muslim women who wear hijab are so oppressed and so quiet and so meek and mild and just oppressed by the men in their lives. I want other Muslims, especially Muslim women who wear hijab, who haven't ever seen someone so outspoken and so loud. And it has taken me a really long time to get to this point. I had to learn my internalized Islamophobia. I had to learn to have the confidence that I do. And yes, I do very much block a lot of people, but that is why I do respond to a number of these comments. But overwhelmingly, most of the time, I do just block people. So again, thank you all so much for your incredibly kind comments, for checking in on me, for guiding me to make sure that I am doing the best that I can to live Islamic principles and to have akhlaq and live in the example of the Prophet, peace be upon him, when he was treated badly and when he was oppressed and all of those things. I am grateful for you. And also, just so you can understand a little bit of my mindset, this is me trying to show that Muslims are not carpets. We are not going to accept abuse and just be like, oh, okay, I guess we're just going to turn the other cheek and not say anything. No, if you attack me, I don't have to just sit and take it. You're going to get a response.